Welcome, ladies. I think this is the right time to be having this conversation. With all the new technology, particularly AI, this is the opportunity, I think, for the aviation sector as a whole to grapple, finally, with new technology and data. And I was surprised, speaking to experts before this, that I was told this sector, which is old and has created vast troves of data for many years, is actually one of the worst when it comes to realizing the potential of that. Would you agree with that assessment, Juliana? Are we leaving money on the table here?
Yes, I think our industry the other technology that we have, or most of the technology that we have, was built a long time ago, right? Many years. And it's stable, it's functional, and it works. But also brings a lot of constraints. And when it comes to data and everything that we're going to talk here in the panel today, and all the opportunities, we are definitely doing very little. It's really doing things, but doing very little. If you expand and imagine what you can really do to improve and boost customer experience, to be more efficient, to contribute to the sustainability. So there are so many things. We can definitely do much more. But we have to, it's not only about data in that sense, because we do need also to advance in our technology, in our business.
And when it comes to upgrading technology, and I was listening to Richard's interview with the CEO of Air India the other day, some of the systems are really old, and there's no one-size-fits-all, is there? Susan?
Yeah, no, well, you have to remember that our products are used for not just 10 years, but 45 and 50 years. And so we have to support a wide variety of applications that need to exist for all that period of time. And then you put on top of that a very complex regulatory environment with different regulators asking for different things that are evolving very rapidly, so it makes it complicated. On the good news front, though, I would say is technology also have other answers. So there's lots of new technologies like edge computing and virtualization that allow us to modernize while still containing some of those complex stacks.
And the data itself, in terms of the potential here, I mean, I'm sure you're more interested in telematics, data created by the aircraft. What are you able to do with it?
So just to use the example of what we do have is, as they said in the video, there's terabytes of data that come off. In fact, if you were to sit down, it would take you 2 years nonstop in terms of movies to consume that amount of data. So what we've had is a tool even from the 1990s that actually ingests the thousands of sensors that we have on the aircraft. And what it does is it combines with other information such as weather patterns, as well as flight information as well. And what that has been able to do is to optimize many things. So one of them is, for example, fuel efficiency. And just to give a really small example is just with the flight bag, so before the pilots needed to carry a really heavy bag, we were able to eliminate 6.2 million kilograms of paper just by digitizing that data. The other example is through the pandemic, we were able to use cough patterns as well as the airflow patterns to understand the data, to understand how we could keep everybody safe. Another great example of what we've done actually in partnership with IATA, MIT, and Cambridge is create a tool. You can go online and play with it. It's called Cascade. And what it allows you to do is use the different levers to model both internal data, such as fleet, sustainable aviation, as well as external data, and combine that and use the levers to understand how will that help us get to net zero.
I mean, I was playing with this platform yesterday. I do encourage you to try it. It's really interesting. But what you say there is important because it's not about one data set, is it? Juliana, there's more value when you can combine data sets. You can learn so much more from it.
Absolutely, and I think this is something that the technology these days allow us to do. We have, in the past, we used to things on the organization more or less in silos, and the process and the experience in silos. And actually, I think the potential comes when you put things together. For example, I will combine it now with the example that's of fuel consumption, for example. We failed to get the right gender of the person, the passengers, in 100% of the times, let's say. So we built, that is a very simple, in a way, AI solution. We built a little algorithm that it can really better predict what exactly is the gender. And based on the gender and based on reference of weight, we could as well optimize like almost 10% of the fuel in some routes of the flights that we do every day. So this has a lot of benefits, but in order to do that, you really have to get together people from passenger experience, people from operations experience, so everyone together to really work and explore the data and try to understand where is it. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about being put together with different expertise and different talents. That is where the potential is going to come, when you really combine different sources, but also different talents.
And how that sharing takes place. And I did wonder whether there's ever a conflict in terms of the telematics, particularly the valuable data from an aircraft. Who owns it? Is it the airline? Is it the OEM?
Well, we do have the data, and when we work together in that case, so we do have the data, and we are learning how to use the data, because to be honest, it was a data that until, in the case of our airline at least, until 1 year ago, we didn't even have access. Now we do, but it's so much. Yeah. You have no idea how many thousands of points, data points, we collect from the aircraft right now. So we are learning how to use it, and we have already some use cases in place. But it has to be in collaboration. We actually work with the manufacturers in order to really understand the data and extract the value of the data.
And Susan, you're probably putting sensors on everything right now, IoT. How many sensors on an aircraft?
There's thousands of sensors.
Thousands.
Yes, to model and understand, everything from fuel consumption to instrumentation, and then backup systems to the backup systems as well.
So it's very much operations. Do you ever see a time where we'll be putting sensors inside the cabin to better monitor what is going on? And a lot of what you do is making sure you know when there's going to be a malfunction, almost predicting the issues before they happen. Where do we fit with the cabin?
Yes, I think it's getting there. We do have some sensors, but not many. Probably in the future, it's going to have much more. Another use of IoT that is very interesting for the industry, for me, in my perspective, is the maintenance warehouses. Mm. Because it's a challenge. You have so many parts, and then being efficient in accessing those parts and having a good inventory of those parts. So we have been using a lot of IoT and other things. And we have piloted also IoT in the customer experience, which we still haven't figured it out, I think, in general. We have some ideas and pilots and use cases, but we still have to figure it out. So the potential of IoT, it's huge, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's simple examples from, how many times do you get on your plane and your screen doesn't work, and
your chair doesn't work.
Is not working. So even the sensors on each of the device to understand what's working. So those are some of the things. But also, I mean, it goes outside my area, but even the baggage. Like the way baggage works and getting baggage in and out, having the sensors to understand where that particular bag is so you can extract it where you need to is a really important use case, because it'll allow us to depart on time.
And also, actually, thinking about the passenger experience, which I do as a passenger think about a lot, is a lot of the experience of your customers is actually happening outside of the flight. A lot of it is in the airport.
Exactly.
And would you like more data on what that passenger's experience has been to help improve the whole ecosystem?
Yes, I would give even one step back. I was talking to Google some weeks ago, and they were telling me that they made a research, and actually 77% of the traveler's time is spent on dreaming about the trip, planning the trip, and then booking the trip, and then actually 23% of the time is actually traveling. So if you really go beyond and you start to think from the moment that someone is planning what to do, and then that is the moment that you book something, and then we start to organize other things, not only the flight, right, but the taxi to get to the airport, and then the hotel when you get there. So when you expand, and I think that's the potential that we have, and that's the way that we have to look. And that's why I really enjoyed the previous panel talking about the ecosystem. In the ecosystem, it's really, really, literally everything. And if we manage, because the technology is already there, if we manage to work together, to collaborate, you can really make the customer experience much better. And I think it's a big challenge right now, because the digitalization of everything, so the customers are used to really outstanding digital services nowadays, right? We can name the usual ones, Amazon, Uber, whatever, but those things work and work in a simple way, and the customer can have everything in their hands, and that's what we have to do. We need to give everything that the customer needs end-to-end on their pockets, right? It has to be on their hands as well. But in our industry, we still have some challenges, but looking from the opportunity side, it's so much
all the
that we can
data's
do.
there. I mean, all the data is being created through every step of that journey already, even without adding more IoT sensors.
Yeah.
But it's about collaboration. There's also, of course, the opportunity here of AI. How do you see AI blending with what you already have, improving operations and customer experience?
Well, I mean, we've used AI in several examples. So one great example is we have a T-7, which is a fighter trainer aircraft, and we were able actually to design it all the way to first flight in 36 months. That is unheard of in this industry. And the reason we were able to do it is because of digital and data tools. So examples of that would be mixed reality, where you can put on a virtual lens to be able to see if you've ever tried to do wiring on an aircraft, even wiring in your house, and you got a 2D drawing and you're trying to get a 3D, this helps you do that. Also, it's an industry where Six Sigma is not even enough. So 10 to the minus 6, it's 10 to the minus 9. So some of these virtual realities or mixed realities help you with quality control to understand where there might be gaps as well. Additive manufacturing. So being able to 3D print parts exactly as you need them so there's no waste in the moment has also helped us service the aircraft. And then the last piece is autonomous flying does not exist without AI. So it's happening all over as you look at some of all these great innovations. Ours is called Whisk, in order to fly people autonomously.
We were working for quite some time in labs with the 3D with the lenses. And then we finally, some months ago, we were celebrating because we managed to avoid a cancellation of a flight in a very small airport, in a small city with a local airport, in which the engineering team there didn't really have the tools or the knowledge to solve the problem that was showing in the aircraft. But they were one of the airports that we had the equipment, and they communicated with our maintenance center, and then managed to get the orientation with the 3D lenses to fix the problem, and the plane could leave on time. So it's, when you imagine the potential of those things, it's really, you have that so much we can do.
With all this exciting new technology and with just increasing number of data-driven solutions, it's probably no surprise that member states are changing their mind on data privacy and drawing up new regulations on AI almost every single day. I cover it a lot for CNN, and it's a minefield. And what is it like being CIOs where the ground is shifting all the time? Is it a challenge?
It's a big challenge, and I would even add another thing, because there is the whole perspective of the privacy and the concern with the data, but also there is also a relevant increase in terms of threat and cyber attack. So it is very hard job right now. It's very challenging since the pandemic. Those things have scaled a lot. And but I think what we should be working, what we are working at LATAM is on a secure first mindset. You know, everything that we do, we cannot never trade. We are trying to bring cybersecurity to the same level of operational security in terms of the discussions and conscience. And with the advancement of the democratization of technology and AI, and we want everybody in the company to have access to it. So we need to really work on ethical frameworks and also reviewing the policies and the privacy rules continuously. One thing that would be really beneficial when you think about ecosystem is actually to really have more alignment in the rules and the regulations across the globe, you know, because it's very challenging for airlines that live in different places and operate in different places to really adjust for the requests of the different regions and parts. But it is a big challenge, but I just see it as part of the game. We have to do that, you know, and you have to be ahead of the game as much as possible, because so it's not only a matter of the relationship with the customer and the customer to feel safe in engaging with our brand, but it's also about all the cyber risks that are there, and and one mistake can really put a company at risk these days.
I just want to give a good example of where we collaborate as an industry. One of them we talked about before is safety. But in this area as well is, I don't know an industry that collaborates more.
When it comes to cyber risks.
Cyber, threat intelligence, sharing it.
Yep.
We collaborate as an industry across everything from the airports, the airlines, the governments. I think it's actually a real example of how we can collaborate together when given the right motivations.
Yeah, and actually a new report from Eurocontrol said that approximately 2.5 reported ransomware attacks per week are on aviation-related organizations. So clearly that collaboration does work and is a good example. Listen, let's finish on a positive. I mean, I came into this discussion feeling like compared to automotives, this sector is woefully behind in using data to make it better. It's a great solution. Where are we going to be in 5 years' time? Juliana?
Oh gosh, it's hard to think about, to answer that question without thinking about generative AI, right? It's very exciting. We didn't talk much about it, but I think we are going to be, I hope we're going to be in a different spot. I think it's not only the data opportunities or the AI opportunities, but it's also everything that the industry is doing to try to really move forward and faster on offer and order management, for example, which is going to bring a better value proposition for the customers at the end of the day. So where are you going to be? I think we are going to be closer, I don't know, to provide seamless experience as the digital native companies. That's what I definitely wish for, and then I think we can be there, and we should aspire for this.
Yeah, I think that just the way I described the way you manufacture the T7 in 36 months, I think in 5 years we'll be able to build as well as fly an aircraft 1,000 times before we actually physically build it. So we'll be able to do that much more quickly, much more reliably, and much more sustainably. And the other thing I hope and I wish and I think will happen through the data, the tools, the AI is we talked about having a very unpredictable sector. And I hope and think it will bring a lot of predictability to the sector. Because when you think about how you can use these tools to help predict the future, but also the recovery, and it's an industry full of anxiety in a very anxious society right now. So I think really bringing these tools will help everybody have a less anxious trip. So I think that it will bring so many benefits to the customers, to the passengers, to the crew, and to our planet.
The way I was seeing it is it'll be hopefully a much more seamless experience. There shouldn't be the delays that we have. You shouldn't feel like you're going from the airport and going into a completely different sort of experience on the plane. It should feel like there is this one
journey.
One beautiful journey.
Yeah. An end-to-end outcome, which is what we all want, is a delightful experience for the passenger, for the crew, and again, for our planet.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna.